This is to call the Tuesday, September 17th, 2024 meeting to order. Today we will have the invocation by Police Chief J.C. Poe and the pledge by Assistant Police Chief Paul Tucker.
Let's bow our heads, please. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day you've given us, and thank you for us being able to meet in this setting that we are having to self-govern. And Lord, we just ask you to be being with our city leaders and our city fathers, and be with council person Gary Cowan with the loss of his father, and just be over and watch over our city employees, Lord, and thank you for all your blessings. And these things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Raise the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 2. Consider approving minutes of the regular meeting held September 10th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Item 3, consider amendments to the agenda. Kathy?
We have no amendments today.
Thank you. Item 4, consider approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Item 5, consider a request for approval of travel for Lieutenant Chuck Henderson. Chief?
Thank you, council members. I need to request overnight travel for Lieutenant Henderson to attend an ethics class September the 19th. He'll be traveling on September the 19th and staying overnight. The class is actually on the 20th.
Okay. Do I have a motion for approval of this request for travel?
I'll make that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6, consider adoption of a resolution to allow Mayor O'Meary to enter into an agreement with Sain Associates. Kathy?
And council members, this is the project that you've approved funding for, but they have sent us a contract, and we always like for the council to approve those contracts for the mayor to sign. The contract is for $18,000.
And this is for the traffic study on Arkadelphia Road.
It is the traffic signal design up on Arkadelphia and Airport Road.
Okay, so traffic signal design. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Item 7, consider adoption of a resolution to allow Mayor O'Meary to enter into an on-call agreement with Sain.
And council members, this is just the agreement that we've had in place for the past several years with Sain Engineering since the retirement of Joe Matthews. And we just like your permission to go ahead and enter into another annual contract this year at $65,000.
Do I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Item 8, consider adoption of Budget Amendment 2023-2024-16. Kathy?
And council members, the budget amendment that is ready for your approval today did provide some additional funding for paving improvements that is really being worked on by the county, but we wanted to participate in that because it is Brakefield Dairy Road, Gilmore, and Tate Road. And the estimate that has been provided is $155,000, and we believe that's a good use of your state street and gasoline funds, and just seek your approval to provide that funding.
And do I have a motion for adoption of this budget amendment?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes. Item 9, consider adoption of the 2024-2025 budget. Kathy?
And council members, each one of you have been provided the budget a couple of weeks back. The mayor wanted all of you to have an opportunity to spend a few minutes and review that budget. We have asked for an amendment. The mayor did. He called me last week and asked that we include a additional contribution to the Jasper City School System after their presentation at the last work session and after a long discussion with Dr. Jackson. The mayor asked that we include an additional $2 million into the upcoming budget, and that has been made a part of what you're seeing on your screens today. So just a little bit of a review of the budget for the people in the audience, because I know all of you have seen it, but for our department managers and the public, we would like to look at the first column, which is the actual year ending 2023, and I'm not going to go over every number there. This is an audited figure, and we have provided those audits to you. We have also put our audit out on our online, so anyone interested in the details of that audit can easily find that information. But we did end that year with $24.8 million in fund balance. So that middle column, the projected totals for 2024, as all of you know, we will end September 30th, 2024, in just a couple of weeks. And I do project that the revenue will be about $36.5 million and total expenditures at $32.8 million. Leaving us with what we believe to be a fund balance of around a change in our fund balance of $3.6 million. And adding that to our current fund balance of $24.8 million, we think we will end September 30th, 2024 with somewhere around $28.5 million. So we'll go to the last column, which is the proposed budget for 2025, and I'll talk just a few minutes about some of the major factors that we see that will affect the 2025 budget. I believe the mayor would want us to do that, and I know he's missing being here today because this is one of the things that he does every year. And however, I know that he's watching because he's already sent me some emails. So the revenue, $37,500,000 increase from what we believe this year's will end. And I've put it in all of my interim financial statements to all of you, and y'all know the sales tax revenue has dropped off some from the previous year's increases that we've enjoyed. I don't think that's an uncommon thing for cities because I do know that I've talked with several cities our size, and they're seeing the same thing. We do have a sales tax increase, and I am projecting a slight increase for 2025. But we do want to call it to the attention of everyone that our sales tax revenue, we are seeing some declines there. Total expenditures we believe to be about $35.5 million. I noted some factors that is affecting the increase in our expenditures. We do have, the mayor did want to include a pay increase to city employees. It is set at 2%, and that is the pay increase that I think the state of Alabama provided to its employees. That raise will come out in the form of a one-step increase with a 0.75% cost of living. The big change, let me point out too, in addition to the salary increase, the city will be seeing a fairly significant increase in the retirement, which did add an additional $110,000 to the expenses, as well as an increase in the health insurance premiums to city employees. So that added an additional $100,000. Operating costs have increased fairly significant, considering what our operating expenses have increased in previous years. And so that is an additional cost. So the school system, the mayor did include the additional $2 million to the Jasper City School System, which total contributions to our school system will be about 21% of the total revenue of the city for the upcoming year, fiscal year ending 2025. I think that brings your school board contribution up to about $7.6 million. We do expect to still have a net change in fund balance of about $1.5 million, and hopefully we'll monitor that as we go. Revenue is a bit of a concern for us, but one thing about it, we monitor that monthly and pretty sure what direction we'll be headed in. It will be a tight year coming up for 2025, according to what we see, the trends we see currently. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Our next council meeting is on October 1st,
Mhm.
correct? I know that we typically, since Mayor Mary's been in here, we have absolutely made sure that we got the budget in place by October 1st. I do feel a little worried or concerned because we don't have Willie or Gary here while we're voting on this, and I know that has been a mention in the past that we weren't all. This is like our biggest job of our thing. So I am just going to say I have a little bit of I didn't know we were going to vote today when Gary's dad passed out, and I should have looked better on that. Passed away. So I am a little concerned about.
Well, proceeding, do I have a motion to approve the adoption of the 2024-2025 budget?
I'll make that.
Do I have a second?
I'm not going to second it.
Okay. So then this item gets tabled until the next meeting. Item 10, any additional comments from the mayor, Kathy?
I didn't
No?
have any.
Any comments from council members?
Thank you for everyone all the employees and volunteers and sponsors for the Foothills Festival. I know we had some rain, but everyone that I have talked to thoroughly enjoyed it, and good job, Zach, and thank y'all.
Comments from the audience?
I have a question.
Yes.
With the budget being tabled, that means the employees' raises will be, won't get them October 1, it'll be postponed.
And that is a possibility. I'm not quite sure how the payrolls are ending. Obviously, we are not going to change any pay rates until we have approval to do so. And, I can't answer, one way or the other. It is possible that it can delay the pay increases. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to get it on this agenda in order to get set up.
Do we know when Gary and Willie are going to be able to attend, are going to be back?
I have an opinion that I do not feel that we need to delay the adoption of this budget that could perhaps negatively impact our employees. I just think that it's important to move forward. And I recognize that, Gary had an unforeseen issue. I I don't think that we knew until this morning that Willie wasn't attending, so.
And I knew he had some questions on it, or that he was texting some questions. I don't, and I hate to do that, but the last time that we passed something and there were only 3 of us out of the 5, that was the big decisions, and this is the big decision
Mhm.
that, and I wish one or both of them were here and that we talked. We didn't have a work session on Friday, so and this is a wonderful thing, but there's been no discussion amongst us in a work session. Yes.
How long have you had the budget?
Exactly, but we haven't had a work session since we've had the budget.
As a citizen, I understand that, but you've had the budget, you've all looked
We've-
at it, you've all.
We've had it for a week, yes. But
I think we've had it for 2
You had it for
weeks.
more than a week.
but we haven't sat down and had any discussion over it.
Well, at the last work
That's, again,
session,
that's not the citizens or the employees' fault that you didn't have a work session Friday.
And it's not our fault either that we don't know why Willie and that Gary's dad passed
No, I
away.
understand that, but you could have had a work session Friday
Right.
and have had it
We
more than
could've.
2 weeks. Okay, that's all I'm asking.
I thought we didn't have one. I didn't call that we weren't gonna have one, yes.
so in the absence of a second motion, we have no choice but to table it, and I apologize for that. Any other comments from the audience?
I kind of agree with Brent. I said, y'all had that for a week or 2, so why hadn't there been some actions already on it? And if there's a problem, why hadn't the other 2 just popped, I don't have to take one of Gary Calvin's, but why haven't y'all got with them? Or if there's not a problem with them that's already brought up, then what's the problem with it?
We have to discuss it in a work session. We
Which-
can't
I'm not
just
asking
sit.
about a work session. I'm asking about, if there's a problem with them, would they have, has Kathy, have you heard anything from Willie or Gary about a problem on the proposed budget for the coming year?
I haven't been authorized to speak for Willie or Gary. I will say I have discussed, and I think Gary would be okay with me saying he has called and talked about numerous things within that budget. But I'm not authorized to speak.
Well, I'm just
for
thinking about the
them.
employees.
I-
I'm just thinking about our employees that's gonna be delayed now, because if you wait for the next one, then you gotta get that, so you're looking at 2 or 3 weeks for the employees to possibly get a raise.
Here's one thing that might ease some of your concern. As all of you know, we amend the budget all the time. And so if there's anything within this budget that creates some concern for Willie or Gary or any of you as we proceed in this year, 3 of you can come in and amend this budget. And it's supposed to be that way. So an approval today would allow us to go ahead and get our budget set into our software so that October the 1st, we can use the correct budget for our department managers. They can be charging out things into the correct year. I can't do any of that until the budget is approved. But it will also provide the pay increase, which I don't think is probably a question. But even if the pay increase were, you could come back and amend the budget to provide additional pay or any other line item within that budget. It just gives us the framework to start being able to operate within the 2025 year.
With all due respect, 2% is a lot for the city to pay out. But when you break it down to 26 paydays for a city employee, it's not much. And every payday counts for us. Even though I'm probably one of the higher paid ones, I agree. But my lowest paid people, it means a tremendous amount to them. And we wait 2 weeks, 4 weeks on down the road, that's not right.
I
It
wasn't
matters.
trying to
See,
make
I don't
us,
think that's right to delay it when Kathy's given the option, saying we can come back and amend this anytime you want to.
Right.
I agree with JC, I think he's wrong, I'm one of the higher paid too, so I'm okay with it. Me too. But my employees underneath me that are lower paid, and I'm like JC, they miss 2 to 4 weeks, that's a little better money for those people.
Suggest one thing. Russ, may I ask a quick question? As presiding officer, can I know I can't make a motion, but can I make a
No, I will
second?
second. I did not realize that we could not get together next week to do this, and I did not, because the pay period normally ends,
Yeah, and I haven't looked at how
Right.
it's gonna end,
right, so I was
Still the
under the
question.
impression it would still be October first, that you would be able to get your,
You can, there's
the
a
next pay
procedure
correction.
in Robert's rules where the presiding officer merely cedes the gavel and then takes the floor and can, I think you can make a motion, but
You
you can
don't
certainly
have
make
to
a
do
second.
that,
But I don't wanna
because,
make you
no,
uncomfortable.
the thing is, I was under the impression that October first, by doing that, it still hit on that would not change the pay raise. But
Okay.
I do know that, I think I know he couldn't do anything, but I'm gonna get Willie, cause we did not know that he wasn't going to be here. We still don't know. I hope he's okay. I'm assuming he is, cause he was texting us this morning, but
Mhm.
this is the most, but run it again.
So going back to item 9, do I have a motion to consider adoption of the 2024-2025 budget?
Coach,
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
and I will second it.
All in favor?
Yes.
And yes, thank you. Finally, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll so make that motion.
A second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes.